You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Welcome to Green Irene's The Fibro Fight series here on the Pace Radio Network. I'm your host, Green Irene. I'm a certified and trained hypnotherapist, as well as an NLP programming practitioner and a cannabis consultant. These are the tools that I use to fight fibro, green and clean. That being said, I'd really like to thank our sponsors and you for tuning in to today's show. I've been sharing a lot of fibromyalgia information for, probably a decade plus. And much like my other areas of studies, the more I learn there is to learn. Now, although learning new things can be exciting, it can be equally frustrating. Fibromyalgia, as I'm sure you're already aware, is a multifaceted, multi-layered, and a super sensitized disease that often presents with a multitude of comorbid conditions like CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, IBS, IBD, etc., etc., etc. This basically means, for all intent purposes, it is a rat's nest of symptoms that require a slew of different treatments. Furthermore, to exacerbate the challenge, what works today to alleviate a symptom, there's a good chance tomorrow it might trigger it. So, what's a fibro patient to do? Well, in my opinion, fight. Fight fibro at the source. Yeah. I know, we don't know the cause or causes of fibro, but we do know who and what we are. We are amazing human beings with an incredulous desire to live life on our terms and not have our health and happiness held hostage by this dis-ease. Fibro fighters have to develop and hone personal power tools and, much like a martial artist, practice of various procedures to train and build techniques is essential to acquiring a feel for the method of its execution. That's the point where it gets hardwired into our brain's neurology. In other words, practice, and then it becomes habitual. My personal power tools that have helped me fight fibro pharma-free for, a decade plus now. Keep in mind, I still struggle with symptom flares. Some days are more challenging than others, but with time, I now have many more days that are lived freely, happily, functionally, and it's all pharma-free. I use hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, and cannabis primarily. They are the base skills or tools or techniques that I use for guiding my nutritious dietary habits, for controlling and making sure that I continue with daily exercising and stretching routines. As well, it contributes to my meditation practices, my brain training, and all of these tools that I use really do help me to get a sleep that's restorative. All of it sounds great, right? This show is about sharing what I've learned to help you help you. That said, let me share a little bit of some of the challenges and different moves or actions that you can start practicing and try on for size. Find out what fits for you and how you can hone that skill. Before we go there, it is important to know proper nutrition is absolutely essential for a large number of logical reasons, most of which really don't need to be spelled out. For fibro fighters, a diet that is at least 60-40 alkaline acidic is really important. It will make the world of difference in a very positive way for you.
So let's begin. Reducing symptoms with diet. Physicians, recovering patients, and I all agree. Stress, unhealthy lifestyle, and a bad diet can aggravate the symptoms and condition of fibromyalgia. So how can a fibro sufferer get control? Food. First and foremost, this is your greatest weapon. By far, food or diet is the easiest strategy to implement and control. After I was introduced to the medical marijuana enthusiast and began utilizing the plant in a variety of ways, my appetite increased. And alas, not only could I eat again, but I wanted to. Food. Good food. Real food. And I stress that point simply because there is so much chemicalized crap currently on our grocery store shelves. So where do we get good food? Well, Farmer Fred down the road, he's a good place to start. But not everyone has a Farmer Fred to call upon. So, in the meantime, let's look at the foods that should dominate your daily dietary intake. Why they're beneficial, in other words, the science behind it, and ways to begin incorporating them into your strategy to fight fibro. The absolute best diet for fibro addresses inflammation, toxicity, and nutrient absorption. Whole foods, real food, here is key, not to mention going gluten-free. By working to eliminate gluten and packaged or processed crap, gluten-free or not, we're supporting our bodies and minds by absorbing more nutrients and reducing the fibromyalgia symptoms. A bit about gluten. We've all heard everyone talking about gluten-free this and that, but why? Well, simply put, gluten contributes to many diseases, from leaky gut syndrome to osteoporosis and fibromyalgia. Gluten is a thief of nutrients, mostly because grains, all grains, are acid-forming and often create more toxicity and deficiency in the body through the very process of digestion. The acid-forming factor here is a key point to mind always. As fibro fighters, it's important to recognize the lack of and the need for balance in all aspects of our life. Overacidity causes a host of dis-ease and syndromes, allowing them the opportunity to manifest into something more. In our diet, a 20-80 acid-alkaline balance seems to be the most effective ratio when establishing a fibro-fighting menu. Balance being key. It's quite possible to overly acidic or alkaline our systems, and it can get quite confusing. I will try to get into more detail about this in later videos. But the most important thing to mind for now is avoid the extremes. The bottom line is a certain amount of acidity is required to properly digest, and alkalinity is required to support metabolism. A healthy balance defends the musculoskeletal system. And what exactly does that mean? Well, see, if the body doesn't get enough the nutrients it requires for sustainability from the foods we ingest, it steals them from the skeletal system. Since gluten uses up nutrients to digest the food we eat, it aids in this thievery. Strive for 100% gluten-free. The quicker you get there, the happier your body will be. Okay. So, we've established that we fibro fighters need a more alkaline diet, and gluten has got to go. You are what you eat should be ringing in your brain each time you pick up your fork from here on out. Your fork is an extremely powerful weapon. What we eat provides our bodies with the material to build cells, tissue, and organs. Getting the right nutrients is essential. Now I'm going to point out that I use cannabis or hemp in every possible meal or snack that I can incorporate it into. Cannabis targets the body's natural cannabinoid system, the endocannabinoid system. Yes, that's a whole lot of similar words. due largely in part to the similarities in biological makeup of both the plant and human DNA. How and why cannabis is a team leader on the road to recovery is a series all on its own, and with financial support and time, it too will be available through Gypsy Wind Productions. Remember to subscribe. For the purposes of this video, however, I will make the explanation brief. The endocannabinoid system is a central regulatory system that's made up of cannabinoids and cannabinoid receptors that affect a wide range of biological processes in our bodies. Due to how widespread these human cannabinoid receptors are throughout the nervous system, they are able to modulate pain signals from both the peripheral nerves and the spinal cord. Marijuana or cannabis is a source of over 60 natural cannabinoids that bind to these receptors naturally. Cannabinoids in plant and animal possess potent anti-inflammatory properties. They reduce the inflammation response of neurons, thereby eliminating another source of pain. Now, there's a whole science to the use of marijuana benefits, long and short term, but as I said, it's a whole series coming soon, I hope. For more information, please visit our website through the link that's provided on the Gypsy Wind Productions YouTube channel. Moving on. I cannot stress enough how important real food is. Avoid additives and preservatives. Additives like MSG or aspartame act as excitotoxin molecules, which is a chemical group that has the ability to activate neurons that increase sensitivity to pain. So from now on, when you read fortified or whatever free, seriously think and tell yourselves, chemical crap storm, and put it back on the shelf. Some things you do need. Vitamin D, plenty of it. It's the sunshine vitamin, and it's vital to fibro sufferers. Possibly why the winter months are a little more challenging for us, and if I'm able to manage it, I'll keep you posted as to how helpful the infrared sauna is this winter. Vitamin D deficiency mimics some of the symptoms of fibro, and most fibro patients have a deficiency. By increasing my own levels of vitamin D naturally through food and, of course, the great outdoors, I've seen dramatic changes. My favorite recipe to date is super simple. 2 oranges, 2 carrots, and a tablespoon of hemp seed. Peel, throw in the juicer, and voila, instant energy. Every now and then I get a little creative and add some fresh ginger. Keep in mind, though, that everything has to be in moderation, and don't OD on the carrot orange juices because the beta-carotene will turn your skin orange. Also, if you're seeking that extra energy boost, avoid caffeine. It sounds insane, and I'm definitely guilty of this weakness. But the thing is, it keeps our systems awake through the night, and we already have enough challenges trying to obtain a quality sleep. I always say anything in moderation can't hurt, but remember, caffeine is a loan shark for energy. Decaffeinated green tea is packed full of antioxidants and a pretty good alternative. Since most fibro sufferers deal with irritable bowel syndrome, steering clear of that loan shark caffeine will help. Peppermint oil is great, the bowel's best friend. I don't know why, I don't care, I'm just happy that it's there. And next on the list of definite do's, it has got to be raw, fresh fruit and veggies. They're packed full of antioxidants which fight free radicals to keep our bodies normalized. Blending and juicing so far has been the easiest way for me to ensure that I get a good daily dose of vitamins and nutrients. And although dairy products are acid forming, I always add whole milk and Greek yogurt, hemp or canna butter, and whatever nuts or beans are available. The body is always striving for balance, and staying close to nature in diet and lifestyle is the easiest way to attain balance in health and well-being. The balancing act is never easy. Health and wellness come at a price. Slow and steady will win this battle. And a quiet day out on the lake fishing is just what the doctor ordered. Soaking in the sunshine vitamin and catching fish for your dinner. Well, why? Because omega-3 fatty acids. Super heart-healthy food, yes, but also a superhero for the brain. So look out, fibro fog. Omega-3 fatty acids are found in salmon and fatty fish as well as walnuts and flaxseed. But fish, salmon in particular, is the best source and readily available. In summary, adding to your diet vitamin D, omega-3, fresh fruit and veggies, hemp seed and cannabis helps to decrease inflammation and alleviate pain. Moreover, these are major power boosters for your body's natural fighters. Eliminating gluten and caffeine, as well as decreasing the acid-forming foods, will support your efforts and give your body a chance to heal itself instead of consistently fighting a losing battle.
The other thing I really want to talk about is exercise, and that usually scares a lot of people, but exercise is so important to fibromyalgia patients. My grandmother used to always say about our muscles and our brains, use it or lose it, and it's so true. So another way of using cannabis without the associated euphoria, so like I said, if you ingest it raw, in its raw state, you cannot get high from it, but you can get you can glean all of the nutritional benefits from it. Another way that it's used where you don't get high from it is topically. Things like body creams and salves or oils, like massage oils, they're all really effective at reducing and preventing inflammation in the joints. It also relieves a lot of the tenderness or achiness that we have in our muscles and in our tendons. So this is very important information because as fibro fighters, it's very important to have a daily stretch routine. Every single day you have to have a stretch routine, as well as an exercise routine at least every other day. Now I really do. I know firsthand how impossible that may seem, especially if you are experiencing pain flares. On the days where you're experiencing a lot of pain flares, it's even more important to do your stretching. Maybe not your exercises that day, put them off for a day, but definitely get those stretches in there because we don't want that inflammation to settle in and get comfortable. We also don't want our brains the neurons in our brain accepting this new behavior. So it's on these days that you must especially put your skills to task. Use the tools that you've collected. Cannabis is definitely going to help with the pain and inflammation. It's no secret. Applying a lotion or a cream 15 to 30 minutes before exercising really does help loosen any tight tendons. It reduces the tension in the muscles. And let's face it, exercising when you're feeling limber is really quite enjoyable and rewarding. Soaking your body in a cannabis-infused bath after a good workout is always a treat. And if you go to my website at www.greenirene.ca, somewhere in there, in that site, in that mountain of information, you will find a recipe of how to create cannabis-infused coconut oil and another recipe for creating cannabis-infused bath salts. You need to make one in order to make the other, which is why they're both there. Soaking in a tub that has cannabis-infused bath salts in it, especially after a workout, is just an amazing treat. But it also really promotes relaxation of your entire body, mind, and soul. And you may find that you get a much better sleep after having a cannabis-infused bath. Again, topicals will not get you high. The THC cannot penetrate the watery content of the fat tissue, and therefore it can't break through to the blood-brain barrier without a transdermal gel. Transdermal gels work entirely different, and I'm not even going to get into the complexity of that for this show. What I am going to say is a transdermal gel is completely different from a topical. You can apply topicals and not get high. With respect to exercising, I got myself a little cheapy smartwatch. It keeps track of my physical activities. It tells me how many steps I get in a day. It tells me if I've been a little too sedentary, if you will, because of pain or discomfort. So it helps me go, oh, you know what? I need to get up and just move around. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little dance workout. So I'll put on a song like, you know, it's all about the bass, and I get my whole body jumping for the song. It's only 3 minutes, but it works, and it gave me that physical workout that I needed. because you really do need to stay physically active if you're fighting fibromyalgia, and I can't stress that enough. I learned this from keeping a journal, that at different times of the year, I need more or less support aids to actually get enough physical activity in a day. So for example, when the weather starts to change in the fall, and we're going from a very hot, dry, or hot, humid summer, and temperatures are dropping really quickly in the evening to becoming cold and wet, and then the following morning it's damp and cold, and then throughout the day it gets really hot. That's a lot for my body to take, and so I will often, or historically, would experience fibro flares. I now recognize the start of a fibro flare and can stop that trigger in its tracks. And I know which support aids to use. During this time of year in the fall, for example, I will make sure that I have a good supply of cannabis oils, cannabis salts, and cannabis infused lotions on hand, because I know that getting my body prepared to deal with the different temperature fluctuations, I can reduce the inflammation before it becomes a problem. Because I'm doing things for me to help me, my brain is already saying, hey, you're on top of this, way to go, girl. And those pain patterns, which we're going to get to in a couple of minutes, don't run the same programs that they once did in my mind. So we're going to talk a lot about that after the break. What I do want to point out is there are many patterns. Your flare triggers, such as different foods, different activities, different smells, weather changing. All of this was actually revealed to me through the logs that I kept. So I keep a fibro log. I do have a version of that fibromyalgia log available on my website at fibro.ca, as well as www.greenirene.ca. Either of those places, you can buy the pre-made books, which is a 31-day journal. It's called the Fight Fibro Green and Clean 31-day journal, and it will help you to track all of the essentials that you need to track to help you identify what works for you, as well as what triggers you and what you can do about preventing those triggers or dealing with those triggers when they do happen. Now, if you're not into buying one of the books, you might be able to still download the Battle Strategy Guide Manual and a couple of free templates by subscribing at fightfibro.ca. Now, if you subscribe at fightfibro.ca and you don't get the template or the manual, just shoot me a text message or an email and say, hey, Irene, where's those templates? I'll send them to you by email. Okay? So again, that information is available on my website at www.greenirene.ca, as well as fightfibro.ca. Now, we're going to cut to a break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors here at Pace Radio Network. And when I return, I'm going to share the #1 tool that I use and how you can as well to help you help you. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at PACERadio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Hi folks, Scott from stfattiesday.com here, and we're absolutely stoked to tell you about our brand new program called Pass the Peace Pipe and our partnership with Legacy 420 out of Tyndonega. We are absolutely proud to be partners with these people. They are an amazing group that have helped so many people with their amazing cannabis medicinal products. And we are working together to gather funds to build the first ever Indigenous specific opioid addiction center here in the Bay of Quinte area on Tyndonega land. So we need your help. We need you to repost this video and go to our GoFundMe campaign, because on this October 17th, St. Fatty's Day, we are going to be starting the campaign where we pass the peace pipe from one side of the country to another to unite our country, to gather awareness, but most importantly funds to build opioid addiction centers across the nation, one build at a time.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone. The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at PACERadio.net.
Hi there, and welcome back. I told you before the break that when we got back, I would tell you my number one strategy tool that I use in every which way I possibly can. And yeah, it's cannabis. I use cannabis topically. I've used transdermals. I've used sublinguals, orals, inhalation, rectals. Cannabis is by and large the most effective tool as well as the most versatile tool. It helps with my dietary exchanges because of the power of all of the nutritional benefits that can be gleaned from it in its raw state. In addition to that, when it's used topically, the relief and inflammation that is from reduced inflammation, as well as the analgesic from the THC, reducing the pain, it's just phenomenal topically as well as in its raw state. Dosing of active cannabis can be a challenge. And what I mean by active is that it's been decarboxylated. So that acidic arm that is attached to the molecule THC when it's growing in the plant as THCA or THCVA becomes disengaged, and now it's THC9. When it becomes that, it can cause a euphoria. You get high. Right? Now, this is great for pain relief, absolutely. But dosing and finding that which is going to respond with you most effectively can be a challenge. And I really, really, really can't stress enough how important it is to keep a cannabis journal. In fact, I have a strain guide, strain a day guide that will be available as of September 15th on the website at greenirene.ca. It'll be available through Amazon for purchase and sale, and that'll help you to keep track of strictly cannabis. It's not ideal for fibro fighters because we want to keep track of our dietary. We want to find all of our triggers, right? But if you just want to find the strains that are right for you, it's kind of cool. Dosing of cannabis extracts can be very challenging given the individual responses to cannabinoids when we look at any clinical research. Despite their consistency in dose, delivery method, and cannabinoids, each person is affected somewhat differently, and the reasons why are still being investigated. Now, there is some emerging information which includes, personality traits, sex, age, genetic expression, the ECS tone, that's your endocannabinoid system tone, the expression of CB receptors, current state of health, family history, certain conditions can have an effect. All of this compounds the effect that cannabinoids produce a biphasic effect. So a low and high doses can produce the complete opposite effects, not to mention it can produce the complete opposite effects in people. So the most effective dose for each individual is going to be likely identified through personal experimentation and adjustment. So again, I really do recommend that you get the Fibro Fighters journal that is available. I've got a 31-day journal. You can photocopy it as many times as you want to, but 31 days is usually a good idea to be able to track things how you want to track them. And at that point, using that journal, you will be able to identify your patterns and what works best for you. Cannabinoids, okay, or like THC and CBG and CBD and all of that, can be consumed or administered in a multitude of different ways. So there's inhalation, which is like smoking or vaporizing. There's intranasally, yes, it can go inside your nose. Orally, you can take it liquids, capsules, sprays. Sublingually, as oral mucosal delivery. There's rectal, such as suppositories. There's transdermals. There's creams and gels and lotions and patches. I think there might even be intravenously, though I don't think it's in practice. But the metabolism of cannabinoids produces metabolites that can be detected in the hair, the saliva, the sweat, and blood, depending on which cannabinoid they're testing for, because it really does get right into our system. Smoking cannabis results in the most rapid but shorter lasting effects because it gets straight into the blood system. Vaporization is pretty much the same. Intranasally is uncommon, but it has been investigated as a delivery method in preclinical studies for the purpose of helping people who are in comatose-like states, right? That they can't ingest or they can't eat, so on and so forth. And similar to smoking and vaping, the administration appears to rapidly deliver the cannabinoids, but provides temporary relief. Oral, sublingual, or oral mucosal, I never pronounced that properly, results in lower blood levels of cannabinoids. So you don't get quite as many in your system, but the high effects of the THC also occurs more slowly, kind of like, almost like ingestion, but not as slow as ingestion. Rectal administration is typically reserved for the prodrug, like for THCHS, which is the hemiseconite, because it's rapidly absorbed into the rectum, and it will help, with a lot of the issues that you're having down there. Anybody that suffers from Crohn's or even colorectal cancer, that sort of thing, having the cannabinoids right there, not only does the THC get into your bloodstream, but the CBD reduces the inflammation on site at the location, which is really effective. Transdermal provides immediate relief, but long-term lasting relief. So it's delivered at different points in time. It will permeate the skin 10 times better than just THC alone. So, again, IV, I really don't know much about it. I think, I don't think they're using that method of delivery at this particular point in time. So what are the suggestions for dosing cannabis? Orally, Start with 2.5 milligrams of THC, CBD, or a ratio of both about every 8 hours as needed. See how this baseline works for you for about a week. If you're not getting the benefits you want, increase the dose by about 2.5. And do that every couple of days until you get to the dosage that you're looking for. Transdermally, sublingually, there's all kinds of different suggestions. And if you really want to talk about this, schedule an appointment with me, and I'm more than happy to sit down and help you find what works for you on your terms. Okay? There are a lot of warnings and precautions that go along with using cannabis if you're not already a regular consumer or you have a low tolerance to using cannabis. But don't be afraid of it. It is the most effective tool I have. I use it, as I said, I infuse my bath salts, I infuse my body lotions, I infuse meals, I infuse my smoothies. I enjoy raw cannabis on a regular basis. That being said, cannabis is also very, very helpful, not just for my diet and exercise routines, but also for my mental exercising. We need to exercise our brains. We need to create new neurons and new pathways so that our pain is not registered the same. I was reading something, I was just kind of looking it up to see if I could find it again easily, but I'm not finding it easily, unfortunately. But our ability to change our brain and our brain patterns is absolutely amazing. And looking into something like neurofeedback, I learned so much more about the chemistry of the brain and how the neurons fire together to create a program that runs autonomically in our brain. And this begins in childhood, and these patterns evolve and grow with us as we grow and evolve. But those of us who get trapped in a chronic pain situation learn that we've got to stop it somewhere. And the best place I found was in my head. So having a creative imagination, I was able to visualize little armies of do-gooders in my brain and get them going and healing areas where it hurt and that sort of thing. Little did I know I was self-hypnotizing. Hypnotism, through extensive studies, and now of course I am studied and trained, and I practice hypnotism and I do hypnotherapy as a service. But hypnotism has, the studies in hypnotism for pain and dealing with fibromyalgia are just phenomenal for being successful. There is huge amount of research, and I strongly recommend you look it up. If you want more information on that, again, check out my website at www.greenirene.ca. But just to give you an idea, 1 weekly hypnotic session was given to patients for the first 3 months, and then 2 monthly sessions for the next 3 months. And then these patients practiced twice a day self-hypnosis during that whole time and afterwards. Well, the results were absolutely amazing. There was the quality of life returned to these patients cannot truly be measured, as you and I both know. But in reality, they have a life again, just like I do, and just like you can. And self-hypnosis is important. Think about hypnosis. If you think about it, okay, the ability of nature to heal is always amazing. Remember when you were a kid and you went to the zoo, maybe, how amazed you were or mesmerized by the snake that shed its skin, or the wounded lizard that was able to regenerate part of its own tail? Plants have amazing healing ability. It's seen in the leaves that are shed every single year and replaced by new green healthy leaves in the spring light with a little bit of water or sunlight sometimes. The point is, all of nature is programmed to live, regenerate, and to heal. And the same child who gets drawn to the ability of an animal that sheds its skin is usually captivated by the scabbing of a wound on your skin, or the healing that takes place underneath it, and the new life that emerges where pain used to be and where injury once was. When you were a kid, did any of these things ever capture your attention? Of course they did. Of course they did. It happens to all of us. It's what is, and what is amazing is that as children, we simply accepted the remarkable abilities in nature without wondering if it was actually possible or if it really worked. So in hypnosis, you allow yourself to go back to a place and a pleasant time where there was very little stress. Perhaps a time when you were, quite young, or maybe, teen years, who knows, maybe even very, very young. But you go back to a time when you were simply accepted, when you were in a state where you simply accepted the wonders of life and the abilities of your body to promote and heal within itself without any sort of question. You can marvel at the Creator's infinite wisdom in giving the gift of life. And as you're doing that in a state of hypnosis, some people actually visualize it as a light, while others feel it as a place in the body where healing begins. Some people have even heard a voice of healing and regeneration. They allow it to talk to every cell in their body. I mean, doing hypnosis with clients is just an amazingly rewarding treat for me. In as much as it is a treatment for them, it is a absolute treat for me. There really is nothing mystical or magical about it. The point is, when you use the abilities to pay attention inside of your body, we realize that the body is doing its job automatically. It brings healing energy, it brings light, it brings sound, and it brings all of this to the cells. And our brains do this automatically every single day, even though we're not paying any attention to it because, we're living life, right? So, when you're in a state of hypnosis, what you do is you follow that feeling or the light or the voice or whatever it is, as your blood pumps life into each cell and each oxygen, as your body is doing the healing that it needs most, where it needs it most, realizing that nature always does its job and that today the recovery process is already underway inside of you. And with each and every breath, in every way, you get better and better every day. And I use that saying all the time. I say to myself, every day in every way, I am getting better and better every day in every way. I am better and better in every day in every way. And I say that to myself every single morning when I wake up and before I go to bed, because every single day I do get better and better. And you know what? It all begins in my head. And it begins in your head too. So using hypnosis, self-hypnosis, learning how to do self-hypnosis is such a great tool to have in your arsenal of weaponry to fight fibromyalgia naturally, green and clean, without the use of pharmaceuticals. Now, that said, I am by no stretch of the imagination telling you to get off all of your pharmaceuticals. What I am saying is, if you want to get off your pharmaceuticals, start talking to your doctor about weaning your doses and how you can do that. And start talking to a hypnotherapist, a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. What that means is we just learn the language to help program your brain. So we use, however your brain is programmed, we figure that out. And there really is a kind of scientific methodology to it. There's, modalities and submodalities. And, if you're a person who uses your hands a lot, then chances are you're a kinesthetic person. So the kind of scripting that we would use in hypnotherapy would be very kinesthetic, so that your brain absorbs it easily and effortlessly. Ever notice how when you were a kid, how easy it was to learn something and you just accepted that learning? You didn't challenge it. You didn't have the yeah buts. Well, guess what? Hypnosis is very much like that as well. We just put those critical faculties, the yeah buts, to sleep. and we say to them, you know what, we don't need you right now. We just want to go in and do some base work. We'll wake you back up when we're ready. And that's what we do. So if you want to try hypnosis for fighting fibromyalgia, book an appointment with me. You can do it at www.greenirene.ca. You can also, while you're, if you're not so sure and you just kind of want to talk about things like, is this really for you, or what can you specifically do for you? And is an appointment really necessary? Well, let's find out. Book a free discovery call with me. The only reason I ask you to book it is because that guarantees my undivided attention. If you want my full undivided attention to discuss your current situation, you need to book that time with me. I am a very, very busy woman with lots of shows happening, lots of events and lots of activities. That being said, here on the Pace Radio Network, be sure to tune in next Tuesday at noon. September 6th is our re-debut show of Green Irene's THC Talk Time. We're going to be talking to people in the legacy market, the legal market. We're going to be talking to dispensary owners and operators. We're going to be talking to event organizers and goers and participants. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff. Anything to do with cannabis is going to be at THC Talk Time. And let's find out what's happening in the medical world, in the recreational world. Let's find out what's happening in the business market. What do doctors think of this? Are dentists promoting it? Let's find out. Tune in to Green Irene's THC Talk Time, Tuesdays at noon on the Pace Radio Network. Further to that, Wednesdays, of course, if you want to try meditation and or a type of hypnotic trance on for size, tune in to Green Irene's Cannabis and Creative Visualizations Wednesdays at noon on the Pace Radio Network, where we highlight a strain of cannabis, talk about its benefits, what are the profiles, how is it likely to affect us, and then we medicate and we go into a creative visualization for 15 minutes, giving our brain and bodies a chance to refresh, rejuvenate, and recharge, so that the remainder of the week is absolutely wonderful. Wednesday night, the Pace Radio Network produces the Pace Radio Show, where patients are sharing their stories and more. On Thursdays, there's the Reefer Reporters at 10 a.m. And Fridays, I'm back with the Fibro Fight series. We've got an amazing lineup with a bunch of new shows also coming in the fall. With this fall, all kinds of new things happening. So be sure to bookmark, and make it one of your favorites, the Pace Radio Network at paceradio.net. On that note, I think we've pretty much run out of time today. Thank you very much to our sponsors and to you, the listeners, for tuning in and helping us help you. We are the Pace Radio Network, people advocating cannabis education. And I'm Green Irene saying, be happy, get healthy, and stay strong. Ciao for now.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at PACERADIO.net.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone. The only way to go.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at PACERadio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at Pace Radio.